Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Technical Difficulties. This is where we go over the best action from the weekend's fights. My name is Luke Thomas, I'm the host of this program, and I'll put a ratchet to the side of your face like a cell phone. Alright, so today on the program, as I mentioned, Fury, Wilder 3. What a fight. I went over this already on my Morning Combat podcast that I do with Brian Campbell. Of course, here on my personal channel, we do things a little bit differently. But if you want all of the talk about how the fight was so epic and fun and what it all means, you can check that out. I'll put a link in the description box below. But for today, let's take a look at the keys to victory for Tyson Fury. Now, before I get going, standard disclaimer, I do not present these findings to you to be the only or the best or the most complete findings, just my own. Always encourage you to hear what other analysts have to say, especially true in the case of boxing, which is not typically my wheelhouse, but I think I got a good presentation for you today. All right, no time like the present. Let's get going. Thumbs up on the video, hit subscribe. Let's get into it. Okay, so here are his keys to victory. I have 6. There could be more. In fact, I'm certain there's more. I'm just going to spotlight 6. And it should be noted, there are some big similarities between the second fight and the third fight, at least in terms of what Tyson Fury was able to do in terms of strategy. He barred a lot of things. You'll see some of this should be familiar if you watched my other presentation on the second fight. But in this particular case, he took a lot of the things from the second fight, did some of them a little bit differently, and then brought in some new elements as well. But in any case, let's go through and see how he did it. First, he pushed Wilder. So there's a couple of ways I mean this. One is obviously he was pushing him backwards, right? Getting Deontay Wilder to be on his heels. He is a much more Wilder of a threat when he can go with a 1-2, so he can jab, establish range, and then he throws that hammer of a right hand. He likes to do that at distance when he's coming forward. The time he catches Fury, actually, when he drops him in the 4th round, is when Wilder is standing firm and Fury just sort of marches into him rather than Wilder backing up, and actually Wilder caught him there. It was really the one time he caught him clean like that. But in any case, the whole object was to push him backwards, one. The second part was to literally push him. There are times when you'll see that they clinch, and you'll note, we'll go through this in just a second, where Fury kind of bumps into him and tries to keep nudging him towards the ropes. And then when he's on the ropes, you can literally see Tyson Fury push him to gain extension and then throw a punch or whatever he was trying to do from those positions. So when I say push Wilder, I don't just mean push him back, although that's key. It's quite literally push into him, push over him, push on him, whether you're on the ropes, whether you're trying to get to the ropes, whether you're at distance and you just want him to move backwards, push him. Number 2, the Fury 2-step is back. We saw this in the second fight. He did a little bit differently. He didn't quite have the same A-frame stance. I mean, he had it, but it wasn't quite as pronounced. Again, you go back to the second breakdown if you want to see what I mean by that. But the 2-step is here, which is namely, Fury would be, for the most part, in orthodox stance. He would stay here. And what he would do is he would be just far enough away where if he tried to jab, he could get there if he lunged. But of course, if you lunged, you're going to get countered. So what he would do is he would have to take a step and then another step. And he would do this a number of ways. He might double jab to close distance. A lot of times he feints his way in there. A lot of times, this is almost every single time, what he would end up doing is he would be timing it. He would split the timing of Deontay Wilder between steps. Again, we talk about it every time on this show about the half beat where everyone's moving kind of on a rhythm. You don't want to attack on the rhythm. You want to attack there. Fury does that all the time in this one, and he does it with the 2-step. It's a 1 and it's a 2, and then when from this, he might jab on certain occasions. On other occasions, he might jab cross or he might hook cross, and he might do it to clinch, he might do it to throw. A lot of reasons to do it, but it's that 2-step, staying at a 2-step range where if Fury wanted to get out of the way of Wilder lunging, he could, but he was also never too far away from being able to establish distance closing. 3, I wrote joust. This means a lot. There was a lot of different things that the jab of Tyson Fury was doing. One of them was he would treat his jab, not every time, but on occasion, like a jousting, I don't know what the proper terminology is, but a jousting stick that the knights would use in sort of medieval times. And he would use it to burst through the guard. Sometimes he would use it to then wrap the head, which we'll get to in just a second. But a lot of times it was just there to establish presence. One thing he'd like to do was, you might see Wilder stand his ground a little bit more with this. So he would punch through with this jousting jab. Then he would make contact, either wrapping the head or shoulder or overhooking or whatever the position he might go to. And then he would push, to go back to number 1, he would push Wilder backwards. It was this constant sort of way of invading his space, and that jousting jab was a big way to go about it. He had other kinds of jabs too. There was a lot of times he would just throw a standard jab, power jab, just to land and off balance Wilder while Wilder moved into it. There was another thing he did with his jab that I didn't explicitly write, but let's talk about it for just a second. Did you notice the front hand position of Fury? It would alternate constantly. Sometimes he'd be here. A lot of times he'd be here. He'd be going for that, there was a different way to describe it, but a different kind of up jab. At a bare minimum, what he was looking to do was, when you throw the lead hand, if it starts down here, it's harder to see. He might chamber it up here for defense. And sometimes he would throw straight from the shoulder, so to speak. But a lot of times it was way down here. And then when he would joust, he'd take that big step, and then he'd punch up with it, keep it almost straight like a battering ram, and then drive through into Deontay Wilder. That was a big way for him to get the jab going, to establish, to land, first of all, and then beyond that, to get things going in the clinch such as he needed to. 4, take away Wilder's jab. Dude, they were constantly trying to do this, whether that was down parries, side parries, whether that was moving out of the way, whether that was deflecting it, redirecting it, whether that was jabbing with Wilder so that his jab, if he wanted to throw, he would get beaten to the punch. Just lots of different ways in which again, Wilder's jab by itself is not so potent, but it is potent as part of a combo when the right hand is coming behind it. So to the extent you can disrupt the jab, it makes the right hand less frequent, less powerful, you name it. We'll look at some of that. 5, this is the big one. This is really the story to me. And you saw some of this in the second fight. Not all of this was brand new. In fact, a lot of it was not brand new. But it was the extent to which he went to it. So the clinch masterclass, really this is where he won and lost. Folks, I cannot overstate this. He landed on Wilder so many times, seemingly for free in these spots. And I don't just mean if they were clinching, hard punches over the overhook, although that would sometimes happen. I mean uppercuts up the middle. I mean tons of body work. We'll talk about it. Dude, there was a ton of body work that didn't get inventoried in the broadcast as they noted it because they counted the body work when Fury was away. So if Fury double jabbed off his two-step and then went to the body instead, which did happen, especially later in the rounds. We'll talk about that in just a second. They would kind of note the body work there. Folks, you cannot lose sight of the body work here. He did tons and tons of damage on the inside. He had all kinds of positions. He had overhook, underhook, head on opposite side. He had 2 overhooks when he needed to. He had his favorite one, which is the one you'll see a lot, is right hand, sometimes overhooking, left hand, sometimes underhooking, but sometimes overhooking, left hand elbow out here. Why would he do this? Because when his elbow's out here, he could bump Deontay Wilder. He could block the right hand with the elbow being raised. And then more to the point, if he could bump and turn him, he could create a lane for the uppercut, for the left hook, for whatever he wanted. So there was this was the spot, either underhook or overhook, a lot of times overhook, and then elbow up on the left side. He would do it the other way too. He would get this one up as well. But he had all different kinds of positions, all different reasons he might employ them. But the most effective of them for damage might have been from collar tie, overhook, left elbow up, okay? Catch methods. He would do the hook straight method. He would do the jousting jab, wrap the head method. He would have one where he put his hands up on his forehead and he would walk in and you'd actually see Wilder wrap him, but then that was a trick because then Fury would use it to push Wilder away, going back to number 1, and then he would begin to flurry on him. So that's another thing I didn't mention on the push. A lot of times he would get him along the ropes and you'd see these flurries from Tyson Fury. They were really nice. But he has all kinds of catch methods to get to it. So he's got different positions he can go to. He's got different methods of getting there. And then once you get there, they have all kinds of purpose. So sometimes it was to turn. Sometimes he would use his head to post and get them into a ring corner. Sometimes it was to post their head and then he would create separation and then throw. So it was to set up a particular shot. Sometimes it was just to hang on top. Sometimes it was to look for body work. Sometimes it was look to mixing it up. Sometimes it was looking to lean. He had different kinds of punches he could go to, different kinds of punches he could block from Fury based on the positions and based on what he was looking for. They all work together. I cannot overstate how good his clinch work is in this fight. Deontay Wilder had no ability to really match that whatsoever. Body work often, but especially late. I go back to it in the clinch. He was working that body over and over and over again. For all the talk about Wilder going to the body early, and certainly he did, you cannot lose sight of the fact that Fury did a lot of body work himself, especially in the clinch. And then you'll see late in the rounds, right about 7th round or so, you'll start seeing him go to the body, especially early in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th rounds, as a way to, like, you know, obviously bring the hands down of an already tired, damaged opponent. Still took him a while to get it done, but that was a big part of it. So there's more to the story, but these are the biggest ones that I found reviewing the tape. So let's look at the evidence for my claims. By the way, I didn't even mention it, but there's also a bunch of stance switching, which you're going to see from the clinch as well, where he would exit the clinch from southpaw a lot or change stances to get a retreating Deontay Wilder. We'll look at some of that, but let's take a look at here on the tape as it stands. All right, first round. I'll go through these as fast as I can. I had to eliminate a lot. It's an 11-round fight. This took a lot of effort to put together. So I'm going to try and show you what I thought was the most relevant kind of thing. All right, here we are. There is the feinting you see from Fury, right? Feinting. Here he goes. Wilder kind of moving this way a little bit. And there is a hooking punch. Remember, the big part of the second fight was a lot of times he didn't throw linear punches. He threw hooking punches on purpose because they might look and start like straight punches. They look kind of like straight punches. Then they hook, and that was a way for him to grab Deontay's glove and pull it down a lot of times, right? Also note, where does the jab start? Here. Look how low the hand is of Tyson Fury. So then it comes around. He can then scoop around the other side, and if he wants to, he can bear hug right away, right? So this is finding a way into the clinch, two-step, feinting his way in. This is Fury in a nutshell, right? Here he is a little bit later. To the body. This left hook from Fury doesn't really land here. He throws this all the time to check him, whether he goes to the body or whether he stands. You'll see more of this in a minute. All right? Here they go. Fury is backing up off the threat from Wilder. He feints low. Wilder, he just telegraphs the shit out of this. Fury sees it coming a mile away, so what does he do? Boom, there's that check left hook. And what you'll also see is sometimes he doesn't get the left hook, but he did the same thing from the second fight where he'll throw what's called a hanger, where he'll throw kind of past the head of Deontay Wilder, land on the collar, but now when Wilder wants to throw that right, he's got this big apparatus in the way that he can't quite get past, right? And there it is, it stops the whole thing dead in its tracks a little bit later. Now he eats a jab coming in for his efforts, but it actually slips off to the side. And there's that check left hook again to come inside to get his back off the ropes. Feints down and again, and look, it just backs up Wilder constantly just with the feints. You see it in MMA, you see it in boxing. Good feinters can get guys to just give them all the space and time in the world. Not just space, time as well. Here we are a little bit later. And then on the half beat, watch Wilder here. Step. Half up, and he gets out of the way, even though he split his timing. But then what's he going to do? There's that jousting jab. Where does it start? This one kind of starts a little, he kind of starts midway through. He fakes it like it's going to come low and then maybe up, and then brings it straight through. So like unlike the way he was trying to make it look like the punch previously that was kind of like down and then hooking. This time he shoots over it, but now he's just going to wrap the head. Whoop, just like that. Brings it right to him. That kind of stuff. Here's the end of the round. Here's that Fury two-step, right? Watch. He's not, he could lunge and get it, but you can get countered. So what's he going to do? He's going to feint, and then he cheats the step. Watch his feet. Step, half step, push. Same punch as before. It starts here. Look how far down it is. Comes around the gloves. He might use it to pull the gloves down. And then he comes right through the middle there. That time, remember the first one was a hook. Now you've got starting low, hook, straight on the right. He's already beginning to vary it up, right? Already. And here's it right at the end of the round, same kind of thing. Brings his hands up, brings them low to get him out of view, hooks around, and then this time, boom, catches him right on the inside. And you can see this punch is kind of chambered nicely from Fury. It starts here, so it doesn't have a far distance to travel, which means it's going to beat the hooking punch of Wilder to the punch, quite literally. And again, pay attention. He doesn't take a big step here. He kind of steps, and he waits for Wilder to go into the half step. Wilder plants, so now he's going to go. Boom! Catches him right in between his steps. See that? On the half beat, boom. And this is a case where he kind of planted and Wilder just walked into range. Here we have it. That's the end of the first. Boop, boop. And then here again, we have sort of a 50-50 kind of clinch situation. But look what he's able to do. He's able to frame on the shoulder, sometimes the inside of the elbow right here to avoid the worst of that right hand, even in close proximity like that. All right, round 2. Fakes low. Look how low the hand is. You can't quite see it. Comes around. Just misses with that right, but here he is. Oh, let's Tyson Fury in orthodox. Let's watch him try and go for the right. Fury, Wilder gets out of the way. I'm just going to switch to southpaw now. Look at that. Jab. Split his timing off the stance switch, too. It's just a master boxer, dude. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Boom, look at that. And then goes over and then finally wraps up with him. And again, look where his hands are. Inside the elbow or the shoulder. You want to really kind of get it more to the elbow than the shoulder, but inside that, between that space there, to block the punch, and he does. It's good work from him. Here we are a little bit later. Fury looking for the down parry on the jab. Here comes the cross on the right. Fury bounces off the ropes, gets his hands up here on the right, right? Trying to sort of hand fight with the jab a little bit. And then there's that check left hook every time. Wilder, look, there's no setup from Wilder here. He doesn't jab, he doesn't feint, he just goes. So when he goes, bop, Fury's right there to catch him. And by the way, switches southpaw when he moves along the rope lines. Look at that. Notice that. Here we are. Fury's bouncing. He's bouncing. Down parry. Right? Kind of feinting, fakes, comes up through the middle here. I like this one. So this is an interesting one you see a lot. The footwork here of Wilder, his feet are all over the place. Ideally, the front of your front foot, the sort of if there's a line between your feet, your front foot and then the beginning of your back heel would be on the same line. His are much more jumbled together. And he's moving across. Now, when you move across, you might think, oh, you're going to get lined up for the right hand, which we will see later. But a lot of times, you'll see Fury, as Deontay kind of moves and brings his hands up, he'll lean over like this, like maybe he's feinting to go for an up jab or a hook or something. And instead, boom, just brings it straight. And when he does, he angles off. And then it brings him all the way lateral. So now they're here. They started here. He's able to cut the corner on this as Wilder moves. And his footwork is, this is, when your feet are like in alignment together like that, I don't know anything about surfing, but his feet are all over the place. And then he jabs and goes low by also getting out of the hook because, Wilder's a bit of a reactive headhunter. Bop, up top, he goes up top. And then he goes low and then cuts the angle and gets away. It's a nice work from Fury. There he is again. He kind of leans. Once he steps, he kind of leans a little bit. And then he catches them on the half beat, right, as Wilder. Because if you look at their feet, they're like this on each other. Like their outsides of their lead foot are almost touching each other. So you don't have a great line, not especially for the right hand, but even the jab's a little bit hard. So Wilder does the work for him and circles into it, but also you kind of see Tyson Fury pressure him a little bit by kind of moving in and then moving this way as well, right? Boom, and then lowers his level waiting for the counter. This time, instead of going straight to the body, he lowers his level, brings the hand around the top, and then goes back to the body here. Now he gets kind of checked by Deontay, but the check left hook of Deontay Wilder, I don't want to dismiss it, but it's not nearly as dangerous as any other punch he has related to his right hand, basically. And he catches him and then stays on him along the rope line. I like this one a lot, right? As the guy moves into your power, you actually don't greet him with this one. You greet him with this one, which is a bit of a change-up. I don't think he was expecting it. And then you time him on top of it, right? Because look how he's kind of stepping. He's kind of stepping this way a little bit. Boom. Angles off. He doesn't keep his position. He moves this way into it. By the way, when he moves this way into it, what does that do? It pushes Wilder that way, right? Watch. I'm going to cover that space. So now look where he is. Wilder has no choice but to be lined up for something he's doing here. And he's playing with top, bottom, high, low, left, right. And then he goes to the body here, knowing there's going to be that extension. Well, if you go over the top next time, what's going to happen? He's going to be wide open. It's nice work from Tyson Fury. Here we are a little bit later. Kind of gets out of the way of the pressure of Wilder, but not too far. And then waits till for that. Look at that back heel come up. That means Wilder's going to get punched. Bop. He kind of put his feet down pretty quickly. Let's see, one. Yeah, but see, Fury's going while he got mistimed it a little bit. And so that's why it doesn't quite land as well. But then here's his overhook on the top head, underhook on the right. It's nice work to clinch. Gets out of the way of the jab, gets underneath, and then watch this. He's going to pressure his shoulder/head and smother the forearm of the left arm of Wilder by pressing into it. See that? I'm just going to cover the space like that so he can't get it going. He jams him up, then goes to the body, then goes upstairs and stays on him just like that. Wilder sort of absorbs it. Wilder brings his hands up, and now Fury can go underhook, and he can begin to do whatever he wants. All right, so here we have a situation where Fury is being, Wilder tries to wrap up Fury. Fury pushes out of it, brings his head on the right side of Wilder, and look at him post his head kind of up to right the posture a little bit, and then he moves his head out of the way. Look, he's got his hand cocked. It's a small shot. It's not a huge shot. But watch him remove the head and then replace it with the glove. Boop, just like that, instantaneously. This is in slow motion. Just like that. That's a small one, but all he needs is a little bit more space and it will land a lot harder. We're only in the second round. He's just setting everything up. And then he kind of hides behind the punch there. He gets in on it. And he wraps up. And sometimes he would punch over the... So if he had an overhook, he would punch around the overhook. And then I think the referee's going to separate him here. Yep, third round. And here we go. Wilder's coming in. He jabs high. He jabs low. He tries to come over, but you know what he's looking for, so you just get out of the way. All right? Here's that two-step, right? Here's the Fury two-step. 1, 2. And then he just cracked him to the body. Again, he gets hit with that left hook upstairs, but I don't think it's the most potent weapon, and it sets up everything else after that. But there's that Fury two-step I'm talking about. He doesn't, see how he doesn't quite have he has a little bit of the A-frame lean I talked about last time, but not quite as much maybe. Bop, bop. Here we are a little bit later. Fakes like he's going to go low, brings it up. There's that jousting jab I'm talking about. So look at this thing. This is the jousting jab. You got the hands up for Wilder. Watch this. He just takes a big step, and he doesn't two-step here because he doesn't really need to. He's close enough where he's not looking to, I mean, I'm sure he would throw the right hand. I don't want to say he's not looking for the right hand, but he's looking to make big contact. So this one he can kind of lunge on, and I think he knew he was far enough away anyway. Takes a big step, and he lands this kind of jab here. Not here, not here, not here. Here, underneath like that. Like, look, watch. Pop. This one's a little bit off to the side, maybe. But he gets under it, and when he does, it enables him to wrap up right away. Push. You could either wrap around the neck if you got far enough. You can get underneath the left hand. You can drive into his space. You see Wilder kind of holding his ground a little bit. And it enables Fury to then wrap and then push him if he needs to. There's that jousting jab. So down parry from Fury. Backs up, creates a little space. And you can tell he's going because he's bouncing, right? 1, 2, just like that. There's that jousting jab. This time he took a two-step to get it. He gets the jab. What does he do with it? Nothing. Why? Because Wilder actually did a good job in posting this time. But you can see that jousting jab for a Wilder who doesn't really move or doesn't want to move It's a great way to like stick him on the way in and then find your way inside. Gets out of the way of that. That one hit him pretty nice, actually. It's a good shot from Deontay Wilder. So he gets out of a lunging left hook. And watch this. He buries his shoulder into the chest of Wilder and spins him. And this is after he's hurt, which is why you see the crowd here going nuts. And then drives him into the corner. And look at this. Again, where's the head? I'm going to move the head just out of the way as he's leaned over. He's going to pull his arm that's inside the overhook a little bit out. He's going to pull his torso out. And when he does, there comes the uppercut right away. Just missed. This won't miss later. This lands later. It's nice work. So now Wilder's trying to measure. Fury is getting out of the way of it, and this is that hanger that I'm talking about. If you can get this first, it's not even really going to land. But one, it kind of moves Wilder off of his sort of posture. And two, now that right hand can't really do a whole lot. It can land a little bit, but not all that well. So pay attention here. So he's got a collar tie, Deontay Wilder. He's trying to fight this guy in the clinch. He's trying to get his own uppercut. It doesn't work. Pay attention here. Left hook kind of crushes him back here. He blocks it. But then, if you look at this, what position is this? I mean, it's kind of square, but it's kind of southpaw. And Wilder just never sees it coming. Bop. Cracks him right there. If you pay attention to this foot, it kind of moves forward, and then it creates a situation where I think it's less about right-handed versus southpaw. It does matter, not so much in this exchange. I think it's less about that, but with his right hip being a little bit further back and his arm being here, and then if you look where that glove is. It's right up in his face. He's got his own hands up in his face. I just think he can't see punches coming from this direction. So the stance switch helps, but it's not really about that. Like, it's not like Wilder's looking at him and doesn't recognize the targets because the guy's in a different stance. It's more about, I'm just going to create distractions so you can't see over the top. Boom. Catches him, and that's what hurts him. Tries to wrap for the headlock, and then look at this uppercut. Boom! This one hits him hard, and it takes him off of his feet. There you go. Nice shot. End of round 3 right here. Look at that lead hand down. Looks like the jab might come, or the cross might come first. Gets out of the way, and then brings that left around, and brings the right around this time too, not up the middle. Boom. Stays on him. There's that jab. He's not even trying to land that jab. He's going to frame and then wrap, just like that. There's your frame, right? Edge of your forearm, and then wrap. Dude, that's a master clinch boxer at work. Watch this. Pop. Watch him pop his head here. Pop. Dude, he got beat up in the clinch. Round 4. Here comes Fury marching into him. Right? He got a little close with this one. See how he took a 2-step here. Here's your 2-step. Watch Fury's feet. 1, 2. Right there. There's the second one. He got a little close with this. Nothing quite lands, so he just wraps and then drives immediately, pulling his head down with the collar tie and trying to work on the inside. There's his underhook. He drives it and takes command of the position until the referee intervenes. Hands down, coming in. Wilder wants to push it back. So what does Fury do? He parries the lead, tries to come around with that hook, and kind of gets it a little bit. Bop, behind the glove. So here's again that jab, which, credit to Deontay, he leans off the center line, but then he just gets wrapped for his efforts. Right? A little bit later. Here comes, see, he brings his hands up sometimes. He's fooling you with that, right? Boom, comes down, shoots that jousting jab right past, boom, and uses it. So sometimes this will be on the other side of the head, and he has to wrap behind him. Sometimes it'll be on the left side for him, the right side of Wilder, and then he could bring it to him like that. Either way, he's got purposes where he can close the distance, and now he can wrap up. And in this space It's not a competition. Nice jab to the body from Wilder. There's that, takes a big step, gets a reaction, and then he just eats it. This is a miscalculation from Fury. He's stepping, look at them stepping together. So look at their timing. Their timing is the same. See that? Their timing is about the same. He tries to cheat that by taking another one, doesn't commit. It puts Wilder on guard. He makes a quick decision to jab and then frame and then crushes him here. It's a nice shot from Deontay Wilder. It's a bad miscalculation from Tyson Fury. It almost cost him the fight. It didn't, but that was one of those times where he got a little bit aggressive on this one. I mentioned it before. There's no two-step here. He just kind of steps inside himself and then just eats it. Rather than standing afar, tricking you, foot feinting you, shoulder feinting you, hands coming down here. You don't know what's coming. You just kind of have to block. This time he didn't. He had just enough moment here, just enough time and ability to read where he cracks a Fury coming in a little bit nakedly and a little bit too close in my mind. He was trying to get a little too aggressive with it, and he paid for it. This is the second time he goes down. There's nothing super special about this except he's got a collar tie, and then he eats a big-ass shot and just sends him off of his feet, okay? I just want to point out something here. Everyone was like, oh, Tyson Fury's dirty in the clinch. Dude, I'm not saying that Wilder was as busy in the clinch as Tyson Fury and therefore maybe didn't commit as many fouls or something. But if the idea that like Wilder was trying to punch only at range and didn't really take advantage of like the inside space, dude, he literally dropped him a second time from holding his goddamn neck. That argument is a little bit overplayed. Anyway, he hits him here. I mean, look at this punch. It's almost like a hammer fist, and it still sends a 6'9", almost 300-pound man to the canvas. All right, round 5. So watch Fury here. Gets his hand up to get away from the jab or lead hook, and then watch this. He just brings his hand up like this in front of his face and then redirects the punch. Look closely. Bop. See that? Just gets the hand up right here. Oops. Right here. And redirects it. Look at that. Isn't that interesting? And then watch. As he gets here, drops that right shoulder into him and turns southpaw. I didn't put it on there, but you'll see that in a minute. Here we are again. Okay, there we are. Shoulder feinting, then he backs up a little bit. He keeps turning this way. By the way, Fury sometimes turning into the power of Wilder, though I think inviting it by kind of a weird way. And then he steps. Now watch this, is what I mentioned with the angle. Look at their feet here. Again, the outsides of their soles they're not touching, but they are facing one another. So he's got to find a way to get an angle. So what he does is he leans over this way and he catches Deontay on the half beat. There he is, ankle in the air, catches the punch. But more than that, he uses the feint and the lean and the pressure to step. He's going to bring this behind him, it looks like. Yep. And then he's going to go. So he's used the motion and the feinting and the kind of sort of steady rhythm to reset the angle, and then from that, he times it to catch to catch Wilder as he's following. If you have the same time, you have to disrupt that. If they're on a different schedule, you got to lead them into it, which is what you see, right? Steps and goes, step, and then Fury catches him on the half. Again, watch this, right? Watch that back foot. Fury goes, boom, catches him as his foot is in the air. So he's resetting the angle off of the feints and the fakes and the motion, sets the angle, takes advantage of the timing, gets a jump on it, and then catches Wilder in between the space. And then look at him. So before, he's literally here, and watch when this finishes. Boom, he's here. How many times have you seen this now? He's turning Wilder into his power, but I think he's trying to jam it in certain ways. So he gets out of the way there, the jab, returns his own, check left hook, right? Bop, just catches him at the top. Pumps the front like he's going to go. Eventually does. Right, there he is. He's pumping it. He goes, pushes it back, sticks to it, and then doubles up and then hits it with a right hand. I love this one. Right, so he's faking, he's feinting. He then goes up the middle, doubles it, and then comes over with a right hand. So now he's, instead of doing the 1-2, now he's doing the double jab cross. It's nice work. and then he stays under here. And by the way, as soon as Tyson Fury feels Deontay trying to wrap, what does he do? He circles his head to the inside and gets out of it. And now he's in control. And there's this position I'm talking about. Overhook on this side so he can bang to the body, left elbow up, and he'll move him around like this. See that? He can create space in the middle here. He can keep Tyson Fury's right arm, Deontay Wilder's right arm from coming and doing a whole lot of work, and he can move off of this to create a lane for any kind of punch from the right side. And then he just comes under. Look at that, pop his head like this. Wilder kind of gave it to him, but popped. Nice shot. Here a little bit later. He goes jab low, high, catches him. By the way, which way is Wilder moving? This time Wilder is moving into still the power of Fury. You might think, oh, it's coming from this side. But he actually times it so he can land the jab. Right? Opens up, steps, and then he steps when he does. Splits the timing. That's why when Fury hits Wilder, some of these punches are hard, but he's just so off balance all the time, man. Look at his feet. They're all over the place. See, this is better. Like, that line is kind of what you're looking for, but I don't know. It's a little bit weird. Anyway, as he kind of moves into the power, fakes low, comes high with the jab, and now, by the way, if you land the jab like this, and look how he steps into the space, kind of forcing Wilder off that way, it leaves the right hand. He doesn't throw it this time, but you'll see it later. So now Fury moves into that power side, but he sets it up. He's faking, he jabs, and then wraps up. He doesn't fucking play games, you know. He'll move into the power side of Deontay as well, but he tends to wrap like this. And then, boom, to the body. All right, round 6, I believe. And then he catches him. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Watch this. So look where they are. You think, oh, he might pressure him this way, but he doesn't. He actually pressures him this way so that Deontay ends up going this way. Watch. Lowers his level, jabs, and then doesn't really super hardcore wrap up here. Kind of lets Wilder drift. Then where does he go? Watch the step here. He kind of follows him here, keeping him along the rope line. He might have wanted to take him to that as well, but I think he's forcing him into his own power side. There's that jousting jab. He kind of like parries it off with this right hand here, and then jabs his own, and then wraps, like just like that. All right, here's one where they're kind of in motion. He gets kind of hit with this left, throws his own, wraps up, and let's see how he does it here. There's that shoulder I'm talking about. So he takes the hands, pulls them down, and inserts his shoulder. So now look, he's driving that shoulder from the foot all the way into the jaw and the body of Deontay, and there it is. There's that elbow raising that I was talking about, that elbow raising. It's a nice position, and then he uses that to throw the uppercut. Just misses here, but then recollapses the space and then just stays on him like this, right? Again, push Deontay quite literally back. There's your fake, or your feint rather. Deontay tries to wrap the head, and Fury gets underneath it, lets Deontay back up, and then just stays on him in a crouch position. So now you already, like, he's giving you the distance. Like, you know where he is because he just got off of you. So you throw that over the top, switch to southpaw, and then he kind of engaged him from there. All right. One thing to note, when they leave the clinch, watch how often Fury is in southpaw. A lot of times when they clinch break, he doesn't clinch break here. He'll clinch break here, even though he is an orthodox fighter. So he can set up shots from these situations on an opponent who may not be able to anticipate punches coming from that particular stance or angle. And then he switches back to orthodox. Slips that jab, sees it coming a million miles away, check left hook, right over the top. And then look how Fury stays in command of the space. Bop, bop, steps into it, bop, and these are short punches. He's not, these are short punches. Up in your face, keeping you busy. Bop, bop, pushing him back. There he is, right? Trying to drive Wilder backwards. There's your faking. Your feinting comes low. Comes over the top with a hook. And then the right hand right here, right? Let's go through this one more time. He's faking low. Kind of, there it is. He draws the reaction, right? He kind of goes. Watch the hands come up like this. Now he goes to pull over the top, and then he cracks him on the right. Immediately gets his frame up, and then wraps the head right around it. Every time. Instinctual. Here we are again. He throws the jab. It misses. Throws the right behind it, and then kind of scoops him, look at this, from his elbow back underneath, and then circles into him. Look at this. Wilder's just kind of holding on. Who's the operator here on the inside space? Brings the elbow across, and now he's got a position where he can begin to work from, assuming the referee doesn't intervene. By the way, you see Deontay try to like pull away, land this left. He's keeping this clamp on right here. And let's watch this. Look at it. Look at the head of Fury swimming, right? Pushing. Look at him. Look at him off back. Look at him raise this hook in the air while he pushes. You know how much pressure that's putting on his back and his and everything to push him this way, and his leg, right? High underhook, head pressing. Your head is on the same side. If your head is on the same side as the underhook, that makes it actually more powerful, right? Because that's where all the control is. So he's doing that. He's not letting Deontay get his right hand free. And he's going to press this dude into him. And when they let go, he's square, not quite southpaw, but not orthodox either. Boom, boom. And then stays on here a little bit later. Same thing. Look at him holding the head here, right? Short punches. Bop. Puts the hand over the top just to get him to cover. Press down and up, and he cracks him there. So here's your Fury two-step. One, he uses this just to create motion across. I like this one, dude. This one's interesting. He's just motioning this way, keeps a jab in his face to blind him, just like that, sticks it. He's not really trying to hurt him here. Uses that to angle off, knowing Wilder's going to go this way. So what happens? Boom, look at him. He's not even trying to do this. He just wants this guy to have this glove leave his face and to move him over. Because before, remember, he was going to the body. Now, bop, catches him over the top. He did that in the second fight over and over and over again. Big bank, it takes a little bank. 80 foes and candy paint. All right, we move on. Body shot, right? Right hand over the top. Doesn't work. Presses onto the inside space. Dude, his inside control here, sometimes you have to get outside control, but his inside control is so good. Gets out of the way, switches kind of southpaw, bang to the body, bang to the body. This is what I mean, dude, all those free body shots, just fucking hauling off on him all the time. He kind of gets out of the way. Where is Wilder going? Into the wrong direction, partly because Fury is making him. It's the same thing as before. Look at their feet. They're almost side by side. Fury's going to want to go this way. Wilder's going to move this way a little bit. I mean, not dramatically so. There's a little bit of that space. Moves him over. Bang. This one doesn't quite land cleanly, but you get the idea. Actually, it does land pretty nicely. Correct me if... Yeah, oh, no, that one lands. Excuse me. Same thing. Lands. And now, watch the feet of Deontay Wilder, dude. His footwork, it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite. He's just always off balance. He gets hit with a punch here in the middle of his stride, so one, he's getting timed, but more than that, they're just always crossed. Look at him. He's always trying to turn. He can't ever seem to get the dominant angle. Look at this punch, too. I want to point out something. Do you guys remember when he gets dropped in the 10th, which we'll look at? It was from a left hook. He doesn't throw a lot of left hooks, and especially not very hard. Whenever he does, he eats a punch here, right? And it kind of just puts him in the same... He tries to counter it with this sort of post slash... maybe it was a halfway punch, mostly a post. And it turns him, right? So it turns that shoulder over when he gets hit, and he can't ever get right. It literally turns him around. Like, look at this. Like, his back is showing to Tyson Fury. So he's got to find a way to get around. In the meantime, bop, bop. bop. And by the way, I mean, just look at this. It's just crazy how much, offense he has in so many positions, man. It's wild. But anyway, just going back to this one last time. If you're heading in one direction and your opponent's heading in another, let me see something here. Bop. Yeah, I think partly the arm of Fury drives that left arm of Wilder over like that. And once it does, he can't regain his balance, and he gets fed. Look at this. Fury holds him up and then feeds him the right hand. You know what I mean? And then the uppercut after that. Dude, it's got to be a fucking nightmare to fight this guy. It's got to be a nightmare. And then there's that 1-2 right behind it. Round 8, almost at the end here. Look at this long jab here, right? Kind of, look, watch him. Fakes like he's going, doesn't get a reaction, just goes because he doesn't get a reaction. And then, he misses with the shot, right? Because he goes 1-2. Wilder use his way out. He rolls under. Fury says, okay, southpaw. Boom. Cracks him on the end from southpaw. So when they clinch break, he would move to southpaw. When he tried to evade at angles along the rope line, he'd catch him on the stance switch. It's good work. A little bit later, round 8. So he fakes like he's going to go. He puts the jab up. Cross gets kind of deflected here a little bit, but he stays on him. And what does he do? He stays in southpaw just for a moment to keep Wilder honest. Here we are a little bit later. He's bouncing. There's the 1. Gets no reaction hardly. Hand comes out a little bit. There's your jab as he moves across, right? Because here we're kind of, the soles of their feet or the sides of their feet are almost facing. So Fury needs to create a lane for that left. And he doesn't want to do it over the top of the arm. He wants to do it between. So he waits. And this angle, by the way, is interesting because it keeps him really far away from the right hand. As long as, if the outside of my lead foot is facing the outside of your lead foot, it's hard for the right hand to come all the way around, right? So as Wilder moves this way, in theory, he's setting up a better lane for his right hand, but it also, will eventually set up a lane for his right hand, and more to the point, early bird gets the worm as he moves. Now look at the open space here. Now look. Boom. And where does he catch him? Let's see. Oh, that's right. Heel in the air. Punch in his face. Every time, bro. You guys are sick of me bringing it up, but I never see people talk about it. And I'm like, dude, it's one of the most impactful things in all of combat sports. People who can time other people, dude. Timing beats speed. Why does timing beat speed? Now you can see, dude. Doesn't matter. I'm not trying to be faster than you. I'm just trying to be before you. And if my timing is better, I don't need the speed. Although obviously Fury's pretty fast as well. There's their 2-step, right? 1, 2. And then he cracks him over the top instead of going to the body. Remember this counter before he was trying to throw? This time it's coming over the top. And he's throwing it from a different angle too, right? He's coming on the, see where are his feet? Feet are kind of on the outside again. So he needs to get a little bit in there. So he does. Creates the threat so he can't get hit. There he comes the jab sort of from Fury. From Wilder. Can't believe I'm getting their names messed up. But what does he do? He slips off the center line. Watch the head here. Whoop. And then throws his over the top and just lands clean on the guy. Right? And then he's changing the rhythm of his punches here. Bop, bop. They're coming in close succession. And this time, he is past it, right? So this time he's firmly on the right side of the body at this point, rather than being kind of here. And so now he just lines him up for that. All right, here it is. 2-step jab, comes over the top. Same thing he hit him with before. Now he frames to hold him in place. Remove the frame. What happens if I take the frame away and I got a punch cocked? What do you think is going to happen? Bop. Oh, man, he just missed that one, but it was a nice setup. Gets out of the way, stays on him. Jab. Jabs him high. And wait, where's that jab coming from? Looks like it might be coming from low. Hard to tell. Pops him. And then you see that left hook trying to be countered there from Wilder, but it does no good. Here we are, 9th round, almost done. I mean, look at this two-step, just chasing him back. Again, I think this may have been to set up for the right. Let's see. Brings the hands up. Now he's got a better angle if he wants it. Let's see what he does with it. Punches through it. Yep. Kind of, now look where he is. Look where we started. And now look where we end up. Two punches that don't really land. Now he's on the ropes. Push him. Okay, he shoots the jab. Wilder gets out of the way. He's going to wrap just like that every time. Underhook on the other side. Let's see what he does with it. He keeps going. Hand goes there. Jabs him. Can't quite see it coming. Does it again. And then goes to the body this time. So now by round 9, you can see him really making that body work even more. This body work in tight is nice. But then when you can really crack them at range, accumulatively all the inside work really mattered. What I'm saying is now he's like putting a little oomph into it from distance. All right? Here we are. Wilder looks like he's ready to go, man. This jab, what does he do? Check out his timing. Watch the timing here. Let's check out the steps. Wilder steps, foot comes up, boop, just like that. And it's the same situation as before. They're on this kind of line. Someone needs to get over it. Wilder doesn't want to jab over the glove. He wants to jab in between them. Excuse me, Fury doesn't want to jab over the glove. Jesus. So he waits and then jabs in between, just like that. He waits for Deontay to line up the punch for him. Walking him down, backing him up. There's your step. Brings out a reaction, right? So he's either brings up a reaction here or he brings out a reaction here from Wilder. And then he just hooks it just like that. Perfect timing. Catches him in between his punches, right? And that stops Wilder dead in his tracks and does it again, dude. Just look at the timing on this. Bop, waits, looks. Waits for Wilder to throw again. Bop. That's a bad place to be, man. Does it again. This time comes over the right. And now he's beginning to flurry. And again, the punches this time, once he gets him standing in space and he wants to drive him back, he'll do the shorter ones, right? He'll do the shorter ones, all in between. Bop, bop. See this punch here? He wouldn't have ever thrown it under normal circumstances. He's just trying to get a guy who's covering up and on his last legs to push back a little bit and to sort of not see where they're coming from. And this is a great job of it. 1, 2, bang, goes to the body. This is what I'm talking about. Look at this. 1, 2, where's the right hand going? To the body, just to get him out of there. Just to get him out of there. And then he wraps up with him just like that. And where are we? Same kind of clinch position. There's that head of Tyson Fury over and over again. Watch what he does. He takes it from this side. He swims it. Deontay tries to block it to the other side. And now he's going to begin to push on him with that right shoulder as he did every time. And what position do we have here for for Fury? Southpaw. Pow. Oh, just barely misses. And what does he do as soon as he leaves? He wraps so that he can't get away. And then as soon as he wraps, rock, there's that right hand he throws right underneath. Round 10, almost done. I've been saying that for since round 7. Same thing with Wilder 2 or the Fury 2-step. 1, 2, he gets in. Doesn't throw the right hand because he doesn't really have a good angle, especially when that left hand of Wilder's comes up. So he just waits it out. He just walks in at this point. Steps, catches him, slips off of the jab of Wilder, comes over the top. And this time, because he stepped into it, he got a better shot off of it, lands it, and this time goes inside. Now, Wilder is the one with his hands up. But what does this mean for Fury? His hands are inside. He's got control of the inside space. He lets Wilder kind of back up a little bit and then immediately attacks inside to outside. Classic boxing combo. Hook, cross. And oh, by the way, would you notice the stance? The right shoulder is the one he leads with because now he is southpaw. That's a southpaw versus an orthodox fighter in that sense. In those clinch breaks, in the clinches, when he was doing his best work, he might shoot the jab and roll with his left hand, but a lot of times he would lean with the right hand, or the right shoulder, I should say. This one, Fury would. And then when they would break apart, now he's in a different stance. Look at that. Boom. Here we are. I think this is where he misses, or he gets dropped. Fury just covers up, moves inside. There's that right shoulder, right? Now, what position is Deontay Wilder in here? Look at him closely. If he wants to throw with the right hand, it's covered. Fury has smushed into it, so you have no right hand. So what hand do you have? You have a left, okay? And look at the position here when he throws this. Now he's kind of square, but he throws the left hook not from a leading shoulder position. He throws it from southpaw. And he misses, and dude, he's just completely out of balance here. He kind of goes high, he goes low to high to low. Watch the punch. High, and then he kind of tries to chase it down, and he just steps out of position. Well, look at him now. Who has the line of sight on the other guy? So it's weird. He found himself in southpaw with his right hand smushed, and he just tried to come all the way around with it without his feet behind him being properly placed, and he pays for it. And so what does Fury do? He just says, fuck it, okay, and cracks him. And he falls. Now this is a better angle of it. A big reason is he gets tripped, but look at the feet of Deontay, man. He steps here. So he's at this point, he's thrown the left hand, right? He's thrown the left hand, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he's thrown the left over the top, and now they're here. So then that takes us to this point, which is here, right? So he has no punch left. Fury has his arm up blocking this one, and then the left arm of Wilder is being used to just push Fury away so he can get some room off of him. And as a consequence, bang, it's just a clear shot. I mean, it's just a clear shot. It's just a completely clear shot. And then his feet trip him, just like that, which is why this one goes out, because he gets hit this way and then the leg comes out like that, see? Like that. But just go back to this one more time. This dude was just fighting in a way that just doesn't make sense for him. This is basically a southpaw position. He's trying to throw over the top. Look at Fury. He can't see his eyes, but we can see him looking like this, right? He's looking like this. He can see it coming, so he just gets out of the way, reestablishes that space so Wilder can't have his left, has his hand up, as we know, blocking the other punch, and then just cracks him. Boom. Just like that. And he goes down. All right, here we go. Round 11. This is where the whole show comes undone. Two-step. There's the jab, especially as you don't have a line right here. He wants to wait till he can hit the middle, right? Because look at the feet. So he waits until Wilder crosses over. Bop, pops him, catches him on the half beat at the same time. Here we are again. Fakes low, goes high, joust, double jab, waits, and waits till the hand drops, goes to the body, goes back upstairs, and then fires that right over the top. So let's go through this one more time. He fakes low, goes high. Wilder reacts with his own post. So now they're post versus post. They're even. He withdraws it. As he does, Fury makes a step low to bring the hands down, then comes up, remeasures, and then goes over the top and just lands clean as a whistle here. Slips the jab, smushes into him. This is the glove. This is the left hand right here of Deontay. It's across his body like a seatbelt because Fury smashes into it. See that? There's that elbow, and then sometimes underhook, overhook situation, depending on what he wants. Oh, southpaw uppercut, because that's what we have when that shoulder comes in. Bop, catches him. What do we have here? Same thing. Smashing the glove to his own chest. He can see that this post isn't doing a lot, so he can just see over the top of it, and then just comes over the top and cracks him, tries to get another one there, and then wraps up immediately. All right, here we go. I think this is the end. We're pretty close to it. Turning him in the thing, and then as soon as this shoulder pressure comes off, pop with the uppercut. Now he's in a left-handed stance. Just like that. Wait, did I say one that was southpaw before when it wasn't? Hang on. Yeah, there's your southpaw, kind of right there. I may have, sorry, that is not southpaw. I apologize. I'm not sure what I was looking at there. All right, here we go. And then hits the uppercut. Okay. Now he's in southpaw on the clinch break because of that elbow again. So what's going to happen? Boom. Switches back to orthodox. Boom. And that closes the show. Now, in reality, he's not doing a major stance switch here. But every time on that clinch break, look, lets go of it, drives the right shoulder here, just like this, and he can see everything with his eyes. What can Deontay see? Nothing. So what does he do? He just waits, frames out from a southpaw position, left, steps forward with that left. Now he's in orthodox, and buddy, he just fucking hammers him. Bow. And that is all she wrote. How did he do it? He pushed him, and you guys saw it in every which direction he could. Backward, quite literally pushing into him when he could from clinch positions, walking him over to the rope line, keeping him on the rope line, switching stances if he has to do it. The Fury two-step, staying just far enough away where Wilder can't run into you, right? You can take that away from him completely. The jousting jab with the hand down here and then driving it, using it to wrap, using it to slip, using it to set up the right hand if you needed it to. Take away Wilder's jab, all kinds of ways he did it. Down parries, side parries, smothering it, wrapping it, slipping it, attacking it, jabbing with him. The clinch game, all the different kinds of positions that he had, underhooks, double inside, left elbow out, right elbow out, you name it, punching over the overhook. Catch methods from the 1-2, from Wilder trying to reach and then he'll swim his head back inside. All different ways in which to capture the position, and then the types of purposes. One would be to pull, push, to get a guy over there. One would be to like get that shoulder in, so then you could, that right shoulder in, so then you could pop it with the left from a southpaw stance if you needed to for the confusion, and then the body work. So much body work to the inside, especially late. Dude, he's just a master boxer. He can do it in every position. He can do it from every range. He's not just built with gifts. He knows how to use them. He's going to be a hard guy to beat. And he was basically impossible to beat for the most part, at least for Deontay Wilder on Saturday night. What a performance. Thumbs up on this video if you liked it. Hit subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching. And until next time, enjoy the fights.